Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Tevis-Finn recording from room 114. So let's get right into our second part of World War II, which is Pearl Harbor. And so please turn to your guided notes on Pearl Harbor. It begins with American neutrality recap. And so I'd like you guys to analyze the political cartoon. I put it here on the screencast. It's also on your guided notes on the back. But I want you to take a look at what do you guys think we can learn about America's belief in their neutrality acts. So a neutrality act that can keep us out of any war, will ensure the continuity of American commerce, will act to curb the power of the dictatorships, and will scrub floors and do the dishes in its spare time. So guys, please put down, what is the point of view? What do you think our belief is in the neutrality acts at this time? So let's get right into the Four Freedoms speech. So guys, these actually relate a little bit to the Atlantic Charter. Remember, that is an agreement between Churchill and FDR about the way they want the world to look like after World War II. But this is a famous speech that FDR gives. And one of the quotes is, "In the future days, which we seek to make secure, we look forward to a world founded upon four essential human freedoms." And so I'm going to show you guys four famous Norman Rockwell paintings. I would like you in the bullets down below to put down what the freedom is and also describe how this famous painter, Norman Rockwell, portrays this freedom. So here's the first one. So this is freedom of expression. So please put down that freedom, and then I want you guys to describe how it's portrayed in this image. Number 2, freedom to worship. Again, describe. Number 3, freedom from want. Again, describe how this is portrayed. And last, freedom from fear. So put down the freedom and also how it's portrayed in this painting. Alright, so guys, the reason why I include this famous speech is because at the same time that this speech is made, Japan is planning their attack on Pearl Harbor. And so the timing of it is interesting and a little ironic. So the first slide I have on Pearl Harbor begins with a quote. It's called "A Date Which Will Live in Infamy." So please put down who said this. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our president. So put down FDR. And I have another quote I want to share with you. It says, "I fear all that we have done is to wake a sleeping giant." So guys, that quote is from Yamamoto, the admiral who was behind the Pearl Harbor attack. So he's from Japan. I want to know also if anyone has been to Hawaii and visited this famous museum. We're going to get to its actual design after I talk about the attack. But this is a great site. Some of my students have been there and been able to tell their parents all about it after taking my class. So let's get on to, why Pearl Harbor? Why did Japan choose this place to attack? So this is just review from our neutrality. Why is Japan attacking the United States? Perhaps because of the embargo. Remember the economic pressure that we spoke of in the first lecture. Japan depended on us for oil, and FDR cut off those strategic materials in July of 1940. And remember, one of the causes and effects is Japan signing up with Germany and Italy to form the Axis powers. So, actually looking at why Pearl Harbor, well, 18 months earlier, FDR had transferred the U.S. fleet there. And this is a deterrent. So remember, a deterrent is a way to not get involved in the war, but a way to show to the Japanese that we want them to stop terrorizing and occupying China. In November, you guys also can put down why Pearl Harbor. We had even had negotiations happening at this time. So we tried to send our Secretary of State to meet with the Japanese representatives in Washington to see if they could reach an agreement to stop their aggressions in China. So really, guys, the point of this is U.S. was trying to seek preventative action. but we did not want to get into war, but we did want to use our fleet there to prevent further aggression in Asia. So, who is Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto? He is called the mastermind. For those lines there, I want you guys to note that he went to Harvard University and our Naval War College, the Naval Academy. So he learned American war tactics. So as an alumni, you guys should know that he brought those ideas back to Japan. And so I want you guys to know what this Japanese word means, banzai. It's spelled either with an O or an A. So for banzai, I want you guys to know that it's a Japanese greeting of high honor to their emperor. We're going to review how the Japanese felt about their emperor, but they basically worshipped him as a god. So banzai is this greeting of high honor to your emperor. It also means a suicide mission. So I want you guys to know the two meanings of banzai. And so this picture really shows the Japanese leaving for their attack on Pearl Harbor. And their plan was to attack Pearl Harbor first and then move on to the Philippines. So this is the beginning of their mission. Here they are seen at 6 a.m. leaving from Japan to head towards Pearl Harbor. So for that first wave of attack, you guys should know that they did leave at 6, and they arrived for the first wave at 7:55 a.m. And I want to ask you guys, did an alarm sound when Americans first saw, imagine you're here, did Americans actually think that they were being under attack? And the answer is no. Why? It's because we had some of our ships out doing drills, and we thought that those planes we saw coming in were our planes as well, coming back from practice runs. And so where were many of our ships during this attack? You guys can put down that they were out practicing. They were out doing drills. So the Japanese thought they were going to be able to get rid of all of our fleet, especially our aircraft carriers, and they were not able to. Some of our ships were out at sea already practicing. You guys can put down the second wave of attack came at 8:54. And I want you guys to put down for both those attacks, where were the targets and why. So one place I want you guys to put down is Wheeler Field. I'll show you a picture of that, but that's where we stored our gasoline, right, our fuel. I want you guys also to put down Battleship Row for where they attacked, because look how our ships are lined up in a row, and it made it easy for the Japanese to destroy them one after the next. They also attacked, here's the ships that were sank. You guys should also put down for where they attacked the Schofield Barracks. So remember I said Wheeler Airfield, here you guys can see the smoke from the gasoline burning, and Schofield Barracks is where they were stationed, where they lived. It's their bunks, it's their housing. So that was also a target. So to review, guys, where would be Battleship Row, Wheeler Airfield, and Schofield Barracks. Okay, know those three places. Okay, on to the second page. What was the damage? It was pretty extensive. You guys can fill in that they sank or damaged 8 of our battleships, 3 cruisers, 4 destroyers, and then 6 other naval vessels. They destroyed 188 planes. They killed 2,403 Americans and injured 1,178 Americans. The 3 big U.S. ships that were destroyed, I want you guys to note. So I went through these. I'm going to go through them slower now. So the USS Arizona is pictured here. That's the first one I want you guys to put down. The USS Shaw, that was during the second wave. I want you guys to know that name. And the USS West Virginia. So those 3 I want you guys to put down. Alright, so let's focus on the USS Arizona for a moment. This one actually gives me the goosebumps, because if you go to the memorial, it's still there. It's the bodies are are there entombed forever. So they never dug up the ship. So if we go back, guys, I'm going to pause this and we're going to look at the actual memorial and talk about it quickly. Alright, guys, so the architect is noted here, Alfred Price. And here's a great quote describing the structure. Wherein the structure sags in the center but stands strong and vigorous at the ends, expresses initial defeat and ultimate victory. The overall effect is one of serenity. So if you guys go, this is actually a glass floor, and you can look down. If you guys can see, here's the ship, right? So it's like a mass grave site of these men here that died on that day. So put down the architect and the message that this tries to convey. Sometimes a building can really do that because of the design. Alright guys, let's keep going. This is a picture of just the utter chaos and destruction. And if you guys have seen the Hollywood version of Pearl Harbor, they actually recreate this pretty well in the movie. So let's move on. FDR interrupted, radio broadcast. So, these kind of words give people the chills who remember this. We interrupt this broadcast. In this famous speech, FDR says that this was a surprise attack. It shows that we are no longer untouchable. So the U.S. public is truly shocked. We actually thought that the Japanese would attack the Philippines first. So the broadcast really makes people realize, that things are never going to be the same again. So a couple of those bullets down below. The United States does declare war. FDR calls this the most serious crisis since the Civil War. The Senate votes it unanimously, and the House votes 388 to 1. So I want you guys to know who voted against the war. Her name was Jeannette Rankin, and she thought it was unfair to send men to war when women could not go and fight. She was the first female representative to Congress. So Jeannette Rankin, I want you to know her. So the date, guys, for declaring war was on December 8th, 1941, one day after the Pearl Harbor attack. So here's some review bullets. FDR signing the declaration of war there. And so I want now to talk about the propaganda. So the last thing on your guided notes I want you guys to do is, in the analysis, it'll say anti-Japanese propaganda. And I want you guys to describe these images from my presentation. So here's just basic news. So I want you guys to focus on this one. This got cut off on the top, and it says Remember Pearl Harbor. So please, let's start with this image, guys. Please describe what you see. I want you guys, so the image of Uncle Sam, please put down the image and what you see him doing. Down here, I want you guys to describe what you see on the button. Here's that quote I was talking about with Yamamoto. Here's more propaganda. Remember December 7th, which does remind me a lot of Remember September 11th. I want you guys to look at the geography for the Hawaiian Islands. Here are the target. Here's Japan. We're going to look at how these other places in the Pacific become battlegrounds. But right now, from the Hawaiian Islands, Japan wants to head west to the Philippines. And you guys don't have to write down your answers, but I want you to think about this. You'll talk in your groups, and then I want to hear from everybody. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, how did Americans emotionally react and respond? So that propaganda is one way for us to look. And is an emotional response a healthy or natural way for the government to react to deliberate attacks on the U.S.? How does tragedy unite a country? Is there a trend in U.S. history? And lastly, guys, was there an emotional response to the 9/11 attacks? This is Tevis signing off. Hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.